Ahoy, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. How are you doing? It's the BBC Spews. It's the 11th of April. Huzzah. Who's in the chat? Plenty already. Waxing Miracles in. Hippo62. Kirky Bolly. Void17. Trevor. Online Killer. Nick Oil. Trevor Rapley. Davy Lampard. 15 West. Jib Blob. Angel of Light. Davy Boy the Codhead. Mark Thompson. Sadwing is in now then. Anyone else I've missed, welcome. And nice to see you all again. Right, for however long it's going to be. Who knows with YouTube playing silly buggers, eh? Just reading the comments earlier. Sadwings is right on the money there. You can't... I can't start self-censoring and never swearing and not talking about any of the things I don't want us to talk about, because ultimately, you must all surely be aware. And I know that you are, because all of my content is backed up on Odyssey. Every video I've ever made is on there, and you'd be pushing it to find one that would be ban worthy, and they just do it anyway. So you can't play ball with these people. You've just got to carry on doing what you're doing. And if and when they decide to unceremoniously throw you off the platform, then they'll do it. But the idea that you can somehow placate them is laughable, because they just ban you for any reason they want, and they do it on a whim. Sargon and everybody else who we like has proved it. That bloke, his whole entire raison d'etre for starting that Lotus Eaters channel was so he could play by the rules and monetize it. And I don't think I've ever even heard him drop the F-bomb in 18 months. And they're still unceremoniously demonetize this channel. So you are living in cloud cookout land if you think you can placate them. You can't. So you've just got to do what you do. And I'd rather have my integrity and keep talking about the things that I want to talk about with the people I want to talk to, than desperately attempt to toe some line with people who do not play by the rules. It's one of the reasons why the rule of law is completely upended, isn't it? Because back in the day, you knew that if you played by the rules, you'd be treated fairly. But the way they behave, where you play by the rules and they fuck you anyway, has just made everybody go, well, why bother then? Why bother then? Think about it. It's why I've been talking about all that's gone on with regards to Brexit and the voting process. You know, everybody signed up for the fact that rather than murdering each other, what we should do is we should have elections. And then when the person that you want to win loses, instead of stabbing each other in the eye with spears, what we'll do is we'll just wait a few years and then we'll have another go. That is literally the only reason we stopped lining up on battlefields and murdering each other. And when they started throwing that up in the air, i.e. they lost the referendum and they demanded a do-over, and then they wouldn't leave the European Union for 5 years, despite being told they had to, and the House of Lords went up against us, and the Houses of Parliament, which is supposed to be people that work for us, went up against us, and the BBC and Channel 4 and Sky News and the mainstream media went up against us, and Silicon Valley went up against us, and the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary and the fucking Queen went up against us. Why are people going to respect the rules that we used to play by? You guys changed the rules on a whim. The legalese that they play is disgraceful and shocking. Rules are for fools. It's disgraceful. They don't play by the rules. They don't play by the rules. Trans can punch you in the face, punch an old woman in the face, and not fear getting arrested. But if you have a piss up a back alley, they'll put you on the sex offenders register, and the next thing you'll be eating fucking mashed banana with Ian Huntley. Right, that's what they do. The law is an ass. The media is an ass. The rules have gone. If you're playing by the rules, you're a fucking idiot. So it's one rule for them and another rule for you. They're inconsistent. They take the piss, so you can't live your life fearful to talk the truth because you think you're going to try and play by the rules. If they want to throw you off the platform, they fucking will do. So what do? You go somewhere else, or you make another channel, whatever. I don't care. And it might be easy to be Billy Big Bollocks when you've only got 25,000 subscribers, but I'd be saying the same if he had 20 million. Neil can fucking kiss my festering left one. I don't care about these people. They lie, I don't. They're dishonest, I'm not. They play by different rules for different people, and I'm consistent all the time, and I behave the same all the time. Consistency is key. The fucking turtle beats the hare. They can do what they like. I don't care. Everything I've done is in the public forum. I'll let the normies watch it and decide for themselves. But I'm not going to start fucking trying to talk about, what do you want me to do? Make a new channel and talk about canal boats or something? Jesus Christ, kill me. Kill me. Unboxing videos. I'll start unboxing fucking Disney toys. Kiss my rusty sheriff's badge. Neil, Susan, every single one of you. The only thing that's tragic about the whole thing with YouTube is that, again, it used to be good. 10 years ago, YouTube was hoofing. It was interesting. It was funny. There was loads of hilarious channels where people would say politically incorrect things. It was brilliant. And now it's shit. And slowly but surely, maybe it's too big to die. Some things are too big to fail, like the F-22 project. We've spent $1 trillion. Oh, shit. We need to continue and get the plane squared away, don't we? Or else we've spent $1 trillion for no reason. So we'll just keep throwing money in. Some things are too big to fail. Maybe YouTube really is too big to fail. But death by 1,000 cuts, nothing is too big to not die eventually. Look at every empire in the human history. Every empire dies eventually. So YouTube, it might not be, maybe you think it's too big to fail. It might not be for another 5 years or 10 years or 20 years. But eventually, if this a trickle, and every day there's a few thousand people just go, you know what, this platform is shit. And even though Rumble's not as good and there's way less content, at least I can trust that the people I want to listen to are talking about the things I want to hear. Willy-nilly. So, like I said, they can kiss my left knacker. I don't care. Anyway, yeah, everything used to be mint on YouTube. It used to be hoofing. The comedy was hoofing. People used to make racist jokes and, the jokes that normal people tell in the pub, because nobody used to think that if you make a quip about Polish or Irish or black people, that therefore it meant you wanted to murder them all. They just thought it was a crack, a bit of, bringing people together, bonding with a bit of cutting humor. That's what we used to do in the 1990s when the world was sane. But apparently now, if you make a joke, you want to fucking waterboard babies. I mean, if you think that this is sane and reasonable, you're welcome to it. You're welcome to it. At this point, I'm not even trying to change any minds, because you can't with the war. They're impossible to reach with logic or sanity. The only people you can reach are the normies that are like on the fence, who are thinking something's been going on the last few years. The conspiracy theorists are starting to make sense. And this is why I wanted to talk today about this bollocks. And I've brought some good videos with me, because I had 5 minutes to prepare for this one. So the first thing I did when I turned on the BBC this morning, as you know, I have a quick read before I go to the gym, see what I'm going to talk about for the day. They're pushing this one now, obviously, which anyone who's paying attention saw 10 miles away. And it's UK to be one of the worst performing economies this year, predicts the IMF. Yeah, fucking the IMF, because they've been class at predictions of late, haven't they? Brilliant. They're brilliant at predicting things, the IMF. What does it stand for? International Monetary Fund? It should be like intelligence. I don't even know where I was going with that. I would like it to be a good acronym. I've met fucking the IMF. I've met fucking cleverer people in the loony bin. The rest of it's in parentheses. Or everything they say is bollocks. Because, as again, I keep talking about this, they've captured all of the things that used to mean something. In the 70s, the courts meant something, the law meant something, the IMF meant something. But now they've captured them, so they mean nothing. They mean what the people in power need them to mean. And if the IMF have been told it's going to be bad interfering Mong force, that's a good one. Well done, Furq. That's my favourite. the interfering Hmong force, they say whatever they get taught to say because everything is political now. And the commies told us they were doing that. The personal is political. Everything is political. Science is political, isn't it? This is what I'm saying. And you know that I'm coming from a place of truth and honesty there, because 10 years ago, I was a normie who watched Thunderfoot and Richard Dawkins and Sam Harris and said, wow, I can't believe more people don't listen to these guys because they're using logic and facts and science. And now it's all gone. Like mist upon the mountainside. It's disappeared. The credibility of everything that I used to trust has disappeared because I'm forced to follow the evidence, which is another thing I keep reiterating. 10 years ago, I was saying, oh, we should be voting for Bernie Sanders. America's too right-wing. Now I'm like, up is down and left is right. You've got to follow the evidence where it lies. I can consider myself to be a socially liberal centrist chap, but if you consider yourself to be a creature of logic and common sense, you have to follow the evidence no matter where it goes. And it seems because most people haven't got the intestinal fortitude to do that, it's easier for them to become an ostrich and pretend that the worldview still makes sense. And I refuse to do that. I can even find it, In fact, someone else can try and find it because I don't want to waste any time with it. But I used to go on Blogger, and I remember the first time I ever wrote a piece on there was about 10 years ago. And I was espousing why I thought America, being as conservative as it was, could do with a leader like Bernie Sanders. This is like me 10 years ago. And now look where I'm at. Because I consider myself to be a strong man. Most people aren't. They see a difficult truth and they run away from it. Rather than change their ideology or change their mind, they'll do what all of our scientists do now, or they'll do what the IMF do now, or they'll do what the UN do now, or they'll do what the NHS do, or foreskin face fucking human ball sack with a face drawn on it Fauci do, which is desperately seek out any evidence you can possibly find to back up your worldview, which, as I told you, I mean, I'm conditioned to it from my dad making me read Sherlock Holmes books when I was a child, because I remember being like 10 years old and thinking how much sense it made when Sherlock Holmes said, no, what you see is, Watson, the average detective, the incompetent detective, they make up the mind off a quick scanning of the facts. They make up the mind, decide who did it, and then desperately seek out any evidence they can to make their opinion fit to make the evidence fit their pre-existing opinion. And me being a creature of logic and reason, no matter how distasteful it is to me, if I used to think something was nailed on, but I find evidence that proves me to be in the wrong, I'll hold my hands up and say, okay, I was wrong, the evidence has changed. And what we know now is that everything that used to be impartial is not. Now, the IMF or the NHS or Chris Whitty and foreskin face ballsack with a face on Fauci or any of them, what they do is they get told this is what has to be the narrative, and then they'll seek out anything they possibly can to prove that to be the case. And with science now being malleable, that's what they'll do. There's numerous stories on the BBC about what used to be hard science, right? Back when I was in my mid to late 20s and I was laughing about the creationists in America. And I was saying, how can those guys not believe the science? How can they not believe truth when it's so obvious? It's the same thing. It's seeking out evidence to fit your worldview that you've already got. So when they say, there's dozens of stories like that on the BBC, where they'll be like, oh, you used to think being slim was good for you, but some evidence from a study in buttfuck Alabama suggests possibly being obese is good for you. And then here's a story here we see from an archaeological dig that suggests that maybe everyone that originally inhabited the UK was as black as the ace of spades. And really, there's no such thing as European people, so we just get rid of them all. But I mean, it's just a suggestion, maybe possibly from an archaeological dig. Oh, and the study from this thing in 2007 says maybe, perhaps, possibly. Therefore, we're going with that. They ignore the maybes, perhapses, and the possiblies when they have a worldview to push. And that's exactly what they're doing. The IMF are softening everybody up for what we know is coming. I'll read you the story, and then we'll talk about what we know is coming. And I'll show you some evidence for that. The UK is set to be Faisal Islam. There's two great British reporters. You know what I mean? When I was a kid, British reporters working for the BBC News were called, like, you know, Scoop McLean. You know, it was, they had cool nicknames. They were always called, like, Bobby Smith. Now it's Faisal Islam and Noor Nanji. Well, I think Noor Nanji and Faisal will be happy to take the fucking piss out of me because they don't have any real allegiance to conserving my nation and cultural heritage. I think Faisal and fucking Noor Nanji Ninja will be happy to talk bollocks if their BBC paymasters fucking tell them to. So it says the UK is set to be one of the worst performing major economies in the world, according to the international. What was it again? I have to fucking keep that one. That was a good suggestion from one of my totally sensible, intelligent followers. What is it? Interfering Mong. the interfering Mongs. Fucking yeah, that's them. Anyway, they say, because they're always right, that we're going to have the worst major economy. They predict the UK's will shrink this year, although this is a small upgrade from its last forecast. It also warned of a rocky road for the global financial system. This follows the collapse of two US banks last month, closely followed by a rush takeover of Swiss banking giant Credit Suisse by its rival UBS, which sparked fears of another financial crisis. So what's all of this then on the BBC? What they're doing? Well, I'll tell you what they're doing. They are paving the way by talking about this rocky road for the global financial system because they want you, my friends, to not get behind the idea of financial autonomy. They're paving the way for global central banking using digital currencies. And before anybody else leaps in with, oh, it's all a conspiracy theory. Everything's a fucking conspiracy theory these days. Waterbong sent me this screenshot from this morning, which I'm sure all of you sensible people will be well aware of in the first place. Obviously, they are now hiring for a head of central bank digital currency at the HM Treasury. And again, this shouldn't be news to anybody with any sense. But the now Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, formerly the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rishi Peanuthead, midget, fucking Palestinian, right, he's already talked about this stuff at length. And I heard it on Joe Rogan's podcast years ago. So I looked it up and found the video that I'm talking about. And this was the bit. I'm sure some of you will already seen it because you're all more sensible than most. There's the link to it in the comments. And here is the fucking video because you have to hear it. And
do you feel like your sound?
You know that this guy's not telling any lies. And as Joe Rogan says to him on the video, he says, oh, you've brought your receipts. I like that about you, man. Did you always bring your receipts? He plays video and reads out verbatim quotes from the bloke who is now the Prime Minister of Great Britain. So listen to what he says, and I'll drink my tea.
Do you feel like you're sounding the alarm
Yes.
for people that don't understand what the fuck is going on?
So here, I'll pull it up for you here, yeah? So there's the video.
Yeah.
I don't know if your camera can see that, but
No.
There's the video. There's him speaking about it.
The G7 is launching a set of public policy principles for retail central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. Central bank digital currencies could be a digital version of money, a bit like a digital banknote that could be used alongside...
Right, so that's the guy who runs our economy in the UK. His name's the Chancellor of the Exchequer. And here is the article. Bank of England tells ministers to intervene on digital currency programming. Yeah. And here's a quote from the article. This is in the Telegraph, the one he pulled up, but it was behind a paywall. So I'll just read the quote. Digital cash could be programmed to ensure it is only spent on essentials or goods which an employer or government deems to be sensible.
Holy shit.
Now,
So there you go, right? Digital currencies can be programmed to ensure that it can only be spent on essentials or products the companies or the governments deem necessary. That is a quote from the man who is now the Prime Minister. At the time, Joe Rogan, being an American bloke, won't have had any fucking idea who he was talking about. When he said, oh, he's the Chancellor of the Exchequer in the UK. The bloke saying it is now the Prime Minister. And he didn't win the nomination to be the Prime Minister. British Prime Ministers are elected, not installed. And the members of the Conservative Party voted for Liz Truss. Rightly or wrongly, you might think that's ludicrous. Yeah, she's a fucking idiot. I wouldn't let Liz Truss walk the fucking dog round the block. But whatever you think, Liz Truss was meant to be the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. But when she went with her own platform, her own little ideas, essentially, Liz Truss was kicked out on her bony arse. And the bloke who's just said that we have to control what you're allowed to buy was installed as the Prime Minister by the great and the good and the wealthy and the powerful. Essentially, international finances and big banks installed Rishi Sunak after the Conservative Party membership voted for Liz Truss. It was the shortest tenure ever for a British Prime Minister, and that is what happened. Now, again, YouTube, ban me if anything that I've just said there was not 100% verifiable fact. Nailed on. Wham bam, thank you, man. Black and white, fucking done deal. That's what happened. That's what happened. The bloke who just said all that is now the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and he was installed, not elected. Right? And he's just told you that with the wonderful thing about digital currency is that we can tell you what you're allowed to spend it on. And he sums up neatly. I was going to just paraphrase him, but fuck it. You can listen to him for another minute and I'll drink my tea. He sums up very neatly why this is a problem. And it isn't just going to be, ooh, they can stop me buying rum. Because think about it. If every aspect of your currency is controlled, they can't just stop what you're buying if you want to eat or turn off your electricity. They can stop you moving. Listen.
I'm going to take it one step further for you, Joe, right? So the vaccine passport infrastructure is in place. But now we know that the vaccine doesn't stop infection or transmission, but the checkpoint Charlie exists everywhere. They bring in digital banking, central banking digital currencies. You've got a scenario now that you're checking in and out everywhere you go using vouchers that are programmed, and you can only spend where you're told you can spend them. There's another word for that, man. That's called the Chinese social credit system. That's what it's called. And anyone who watches Black Mirror will know what I'm talking about. That's that TV show, right?
Yeah.
So what they are telling us, and when I say they, who's they? People in power. That's the head of our economy, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, second most powerful person other than the Prime Minister and maybe the Foreign Secretary in the UK, right? He's telling us, I just played it there for you. He's telling us that's what he, as the UK, the head of the G7, want to bring in for the G7. So a scenario where, like in New York at the moment, because the passport infrastructure is in place, you bring in that digital currency and you've got this total control. And if I'm speaking to you the way I'm speaking now, and my employer or government, you heard that in the quote directly, yeah, deems me as saying or doing something inappropriate, suddenly I can't actually pay to come here and speak to you anymore. My digital currency won't even pay for the ticket because it will be known that I'm coming to speak to you. Sorry, your vouchers don't allow you to.
There you go. So think about it. Because the normies on Twitter, I was on Twitter yesterday, honestly, good old Tulsi Gabbard saying, again, which is why I like her so much, because I feel like we've basically gone through the exact same journey. Again, I know those of you that, like Derek there in the chat or Sadwings, that are dyed-in-the-wool Republicans and have been for 20 years will disagree with me. But the fact is, I like her because I think she's gone on this similar journey that I have. And I know she's got history. People said, oh, yeah, but she's one of Soros's and all this shit. But at the end of the day, she seems to be sincere to me in that she's 10 years ago had the exact same politics that I did and thought Bernie Sanders would be good for the United States. And she's just watched 10 years of fucking lunacy take place before her eyes. And she's done what all principled people with a strong will do and change their mind. And now she's constantly talking about it because she must know what's coming. And what's coming is you are not going to be able to do anything. People think literally like stupid normies on Twitter are going, oh, what skeletons have you got in your closet, Bootneck? Oh, why are you so afraid of people knowing what you're buying? Find me the fucking man, I'll find you the crime. That's like the crazy shit. Because there's nothing about me that's even remotely fucking interesting. I'm in my 40s. I'm happily married. I don't do anything. I don't even go out on the piss hardly often anymore, like twice a month maybe. Maybe. Sometimes less. I don't do anything. I don't buy anything good. I don't fucking... Oh, Derek, the problem with you, Derek, is your profile picture, when it looks from far out, it looks like an American flag. Like a load of bottles on a table. From on my screen, that looks like an American flag. What I'm getting at is, it's obvious where this is going. It's not about, ooh, you're scared. No, I'm not. I don't buy anything. I don't do anything. I'm boring. That's why I'm almost immunized against what's coming, because I don't care. I've told you a lot of this. other than the occasional industrial size barrel of Vaseline and 2,000 or 3,000 butt plugs a month, because you lose them up there. Other than those things, I don't buy anything interesting. So I'm immunized against a lot of this. I've told you a lot of this. You have to embrace Spartan living. That's what I do. I don't have nice clothes. I don't like jewelry. I don't do drugs. I have a piece of shit car because I'm not into cars. Even if I was a millionaire, I wouldn't buy a Lamborghini. I'm not into fashion, jewelry, cars, clothes, anything. Literally, the only things I do on a daily basis is read and go to the gym. That's it. I don't do anything. We only eat out. Me and my missus probably don't even eat out once a week, maybe once a fortnight or something. We don't even eat out hardly. Like we live very, very Spartan lifestyles because I've tried to embrace it with every fibre of my being in the last few years because I've realised what's coming, and I've gone from being decadent 10, 15 years ago and going out on the piss 4 or 5 days a week and just doing all the fun things in life. Decadent, eating out loads, drinking, womanizing, casinos, whatever, the good stuff in life when you're a kid. Well, I've grew out of that now. And for the last certainly in the last 10 years, ever since I got married, that's how I live. I go to the gym, I drink a lot of water. I don't even eat that much because I'm in my 40s and the party's over. I could live without steak. I never drink in the house. Never. My old fellow was the same in Borough. He always was in his local, and I never used to see him ever drink a can in the house. Like, he was at the pub all the time, but he wouldn't drink in the house. Me and my missus do not drink in the house. So I basically don't do for anything. So I'm not arguing. This is just a personal attack. If you're talking about digital currency and someone says, ooh, what are you afraid of? They're like the Inquisitors from fucking Warhammer. They're like the Inquisition from the Catholic Church in real life. They're just scum. They're evil people, and they're trying to scare you into being silent, which is what they do with racist, sexist, homophobe. Do you know what I mean? You disagree with them, so they go, oh, yeah, you disagree with me. Oh, that's probably because you're a fascist. Oh, you're disagreeing with me? I think you want to gas all the blacks, don't you? No. You're just totally dishonest and spiteful and degenerate, and you want to stop people interrogating your ideas by scaring them. So as soon as you talk about it, they'll go, ooh, what are you afraid of? Nothing. I guarantee all of my critics have got 500 more skeletons in their closet than I do. I'm not afraid of anything, but I am afraid of one thing, not individually, but for the future of humanity, which is living in a fucking industrial authoritarian technocracy, which is what all of our leaders clearly are going to do. And if you haven't noticed by now, you really are a fucking imbecile. Look at the world in the last 5 years. And again, this is the most annoying part, because you're talking about the normies who don't pay attention. They tell you what they're going to do, right? I've told you about Klaus Schwab. The Great Reset was the name of the conference, and it was the name of his speech, and he is the fucker that coined the term Great Reset. And then when the general public heard it all and went, holy shit, he's a terrifying, megalomaniacal, Teutonic twat, they went, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. Conspiracy. Like you're a fucking idiot. I don't like using all the woke terms, but that's one they love, isn't it? Gaslighting. What they basically mean is, I don't like the word. It's basically saying you're crazy and you're imagining it. It's all in your head. That's what they do. They come up with shit. It's the same thing with woke. They invented the term. I remember being in a supermarket in America in about like 2018 or something and seeing it on the front of magazines, a big fat black woman, proud to be woke. Woke, what is woke? The new thing. They used the term. They invented the term. They proudly and loudly called themselves woke and said, yeah, of course we're woke. Yeah, we're woke. Yeah. And then when the general public realized that it meant you're a maniac and you're in a cult and you can't talk sense and up is down and left is right and you know less than fuck all about anything. When that happened, they went, ooh, what's all this woke shit? Why did it call us woke? Ooh, it's just a slur. No, you used the words. And final piece in the puzzle, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom personally talked about how good it'll be in the future with a digital currency because your employer and the government, fucking brilliant. You've just heard it from his own mouth. The employer and the government, if they decide you're spending your money on things that they don't think you should be allowed to spend your money on, they'll stop you from doing it. And yet, when you talk about the Great Reset and when you talk about Klaus and when you talk about the UN and NATO and corruption and lies and the NHS and foreskin-faced ballsack with a fucking scrotum with eyeballs Fauci and any of it, they all go, ooh, conspiracy, ooh, you're cray-cray, you're fucking mental. Where's all this coming from? Do me a fucking favour. If you haven't got the memory capacity, the memory retention of a drunk goldfish, you can remember them all saying it themselves. It's not a fucking conspiracy theory when the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom says it with his own lips. Unless Diane Abbott had a hand up his arse and she was puppet manning him, you know, heard the 4+3, don't know that one. It's his own mouth. It's his own brain. So, yeah, of course, because the normies don't pay attention. And I don't naturally lean towards the politics of the right. Or Tulsi Gabbard, who was a Democrat for 20 years. No, they're like, oh yeah, Tulsi, MAGA. Oh, MAGA Republican, who racist. Literally, she was a Democrat fucking for 20 years. Elon Musk, he's told everybody his voting history. He voted Democrat. He voted Democrat, and now he says he's a Republican. They're like, oh, fucking hell, MAGA racist, conspiracy theorists, wow, cuckoo land, crazy. No, normal people. So I'll put myself with them. Elon, Tulsi, Bootneck. People of the left naturally, who naturally lean towards old school liberal values like inventiveness, by being inventive and being open and engaging with people. A change in the mind because the evidence is forcing us to do it. And then they fucking come out with this shit. Oh, nobody's talking about digital currencies being able to control what you do and what you spend your money on. Well, I've just heard the Prime Minister talking about it. So wind your neck in. And Klaus is the one who called his speech the Great Reset. It wasn't thought up by Alex Jones or Sadwings in his fucking impervious adamantium bunker. He wasn't sat down there going, oh, the Great Reset, that'll be a good one to spread. He said that. Klaus went on telly and said, "This is a great reset." And then when everybody heard what he had to say and went, "Holy shit, he's a scary cunt," they went, "A great reset? What are you talking about? What are you talking about, eh?" That was meant to be Tedros, a fucking twat from Tedros. Everybody knows Tedros. It's lunacy. It's lunacy. And normal people are sat here going, fuck me. How mad is the world now? So they tell you what they're going to do all the time. And they tell you and they tell you and they tell you because they keep thinking, we'll win this argument. We'll be able to turn the people around. Bit of brain fucking. We'll get them on our side. And they tell us and they tell us and they tell us. And they go, central digital currency. Government can control where you go. Employer can tell you what you're allowed to buy. Great reset, great reset, great reset, great reset. Follow the signs, follow the signs. And then after 12 months, when they haven't won the argument and more of the general public have heard it all and go, holy shit, I'm not interested in what you're selling, son. They all go, oh yeah, conspiracy theory. I never said that. Great reset, what are you talking about? Klaus never once mentioned the great reset. That was Alex Jones, you cunt. Yeah. Cheers then. Cheers. Yeah. I'm all right. I haven't just played you a video of the Prime Minister telling you all that. No, that didn't happen. Because it's still there if you look hard enough. Look, it's on YouTube still. I guess they can't find everyone, although I do know that the bloke whose video it is has got, 11 subscribers. Cheers, Benoit. I've done you a solid, mate. I've sent you some traffic. Poor bastard's only got 11 subs because they dug him out like an Alabama tick if he had 100. If they had 100, Neil would have sent the boys round and he'd currently be in Klaus Schwab's fuck dungeon getting pumped by the Teutonic megalomaniac himself. I've just played you it. So don't tell me that the Prime Minister, it's conspiracy theory. Bollocks. That's what they want to do. And there he is telling you with his own voice.
Intervene on digital currency programming.
There is it.
One step further for you, Joe.
Currencies.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can see that. But
that's the Prime Minister.
There's the video. There's him speaking about
Listen
it.
to the content.
G7 is launching a set of public policy principles for retail central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. Central bank digital currencies could be a digital version of money, a bit like a digital banknote that could be used alongside...
Right, so that's
a bit like a digital banknote. So think about it, right? And this is all linked to recent legislation passed in the United States, because I'm sure Sadwings is aware of this. That recent stimulus act that they pretended was all about money had little things hidden in it. And one of the things hidden in it was they've made it so that all the electric vehicles have to have a kill switch in them by like 2026 or something. So not only will, let's say, Bootneck pisses off a lot of people in Silicon Valley and disagrees with them loudly, and he's got a following, so they go, right, we've got to slam him. And they know they can't get me by turning off my water because I'll just go and drink out the fucking puddles, right? I was trained how to survive off the land, and I've got much better kit now I'm a civvy. I bought one of them Gucci as fuck survival straws. Have you seen them? You can like stick it down the toilet and drink out of it and it won't poison you. Gucci. I've got Gucci civilian equipment now. I'll live off the puddles. I'll drink out the puddles and I'll eat fucking gruel. So they can't get me if they stop me being able to go to restaurants or buy any scram from the local pizza place. So then they'll be like, oh, well, we can't get him like that. Oh, we'll shut his electricity off so they'll silence you. And then if that doesn't get you, well, they can even stop you moving, can't they? Because if you're not allowed to buy a train ticket or a plane ticket, I can't go and see my family in England because they'll just turn my currency off. I won't be able to buy a plane ticket. So they can do that, totally isolate you. And even better than that, you can't even be a prepper and just have you in a bunker in a car to get to where you need to go, because they'll be able to press a button and just kill your car. It won't even drive. So any sensible preppers now, Sadwings, he's probably got a 1962 Mustang in his fucking garage, because that's what you're going to need. That's what you're going to need. They're going to be able to stop you getting on a bus, getting on a plane, getting on a train, and they're going to be able to zap your car from fucking orbit. And you can't shop where you want, and you can't send money to whoever you want, and you can't buy whatever you like. And normies on Twitter are going, oh yeah, what you're afraid of? What you're afraid of? What? You're afraid of faceless, power-mad megalomaniacs being able to control every single thing you do, see, eat, talk to, move, everything. What, you're afraid of that? What's the matter with you? Ooh, you must have some skeletons in your closet. What, you don't want a Teutonic megalomaniac from being able to stop you from buying bread? Ooh, you must be bumming kids. Yeah, of course. Yeah, megalogical. Yeah, cheers, fucking easy. Cheers, easy. They can go. Yeah, they can. They can. So, brilliant. 40 minutes. I thought that was quite a good stream. If I'm going to end up going around in circles. I'll close it now and stop talking about it. But you all should be worrying about this shit. Stick your money under your mattress. Invest in a firearm if you're in the United States. If you're in the UK, get on Google and find out whatever's legal where you live. Tool yourself up as best you can. Store a few hundred fucking kilos of oats in your cellar and get ready for the shit to hit the fan, because we're not going to like it. There's a reason why all the cleverest people in the world, people like Aldous Huxley, George Orwell, there's a reason why all these writers are revered, because they know what's coming and they tell you. And decades later, it all comes true. Everyone goes, fucking hell, that's weird. It's not that weird. If you read, none of it's weird. And if you listen, none of it's weird, because people like you and I, folks, we heard what Rishi Sunak was saying 3 or 4 years ago. And we listened to Klaus when he was talking about the Great Reset. It wasn't Alex Jones who coined the term. It was fucking Klaus. That's all it is. You just have to have the eyes to see and the ears to listen. You don't have to be some visionary genius. You just have to pay attention. Don't spend all week watching Netflix, read books, read open sources on the internet, in the dark corners on Substack. Listen to normal people who have got their ear to the ground. And none of it's surprising. None of it. And I'm going to do one more thing just to show you what I'm talking about because this is linked with what I was talking about earlier, right? About now the scientists, the movers and shakers, the engineers, the legal experts, the financial experts. Now they make their mind up first, and then they desperately seek out any evidence they can to promote the worldview. Well, look what I read today, another new one on the BBC. Right. So, again, regulars who've been watching the Bootneck for a while see no surprise in any of this, but the new ones might be surprised. One thing I've covered exhaustively in the last 3 years is that the BBC and the pharmaceutical industry do not want you to be well. Because if you're well, like I am, you're immunized against the nefarious machinations of the sociopaths that run the world, right? I've told you lot this loads of times. The BBC do not want you to be well. If you're strong and stoic and physically fit and mentally healthy, you're immune to everything they throw at you. So for many years, which is why I've covered it for so long, the BBC has been propagandizing people to make them unwell. The BBC constantly pushes stories like, here's why you should live in a polyamorous relationship, because the wisdom of our forebears has taught us that it's not good to live in a polyamorous relationship. Throughout history, all the perverts and the sexual deviants and the addicts have all been ill all the time, or they've committed suicide, or they've died in poverty, or they've ended up in the gutter with a fucking 12-hour erection. Right? They find the dead body and they've still got a fatty on because the pervert, pill-popping sex pests, and they live short, miserable lives. So we know how you should live a good life, and it is to be in a committed, monogamous relationship. It's to only use drugs and alcohol in very slight moderation. It's to do exercise. It's to be a healthy weight. It's to read and be creative in your pastimes and have some hobbies and have a good relationship with your family and a good circle of friends. We know all of this. We knew this 100 years ago because it was the wisdom from the past. And the BBC want to tell you, 10 sailors hang out the back of you every weekend, love. You're living life. That's your truth. You're living life, yeah, baby. You'll be happy. Covered in crusty spunk by 20 fucking strangers out the back of a seedy nightclub at 3 o'clock in the morning. Brilliant. You're winning. You're winning. Monogamy? Monogamy's for losers, baby. Yeah. Shagadelic. Yeah. That's what the BBC want to tell you. And this is why every fucking day there's another story like this where they look up for ludicrous fictional evidence for their stupid political worldview. And now they're saying, oh, pole dancing? No, that should be an Olympic sport. Well, I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing, but look at this. Can pole dancing get rid of its sexual stigma and become a legitimate Olympic sport? No. Bootneck's law. Question mark on the BBC? No. No, it can't. No. And then they try and give you some shitty evidence about how apparently there's some evidence in ancient times pole dancing was brilliant. Listen. Well, look at this shit.
What are your initial reactions or thoughts with regards to pole dancing?
As a guy, no.
Anyway, yeah, it's propaganda. They write this piece about how, apparently in ancient times, pole dancing was brilliant and it had no sexual stigma. So it's more of the same. It's quit your job. It's shit having a job. Quit your job. Don't get married. Get a divorce. Do loads of drugs. Shag loads of prozzies, bareback on prozzies, yeah. Studies suggest that going bareback with prozzies in Thailand is better for your sexual health than being married to the same fucking lady for 25 years. No, what you should do is you should go and get conker deep in the arsehole of a fucking male prostitute in the seediest part of Bangkok, because that is definitely good for your physical and mental health. Do that, yeah. Oh, yeah, and being a healthy weight and going to the gym. Nah, body positivity. Go to the gym, nah. Snort Hellman's mayonnaise straight from the jar. Feel it hardening those arteries, yeah? Don't go and exercise. Fuck that. No, sit on your fat ass and eat pints of Ben & Jerry's and you'll be happy. Yeah, that's what you should do. Cheers, BBC. Cheers. Spend like a degenerate gambler. Fuck like a degenerate pervert. Be a fat loser. Cheat on your wife, don't have a job, pills, addiction, misery. That's what you should do. And then when Klaus tells you, just stay in the house for the rest of your life. Stay in the house in your tiny cupboard. It's not going to be an apartment. It's going to be a fucking cupboard, a cupboard with a telly in it. Stay in your telly cupboard and just eat and do nothing ever and just get your handout off the government and be a slave and you'll be happy. Yeah? And that's why they want you miserable. Because if you just sit on your fat ass eating fucking cricket paste and plugging your cock into your digital wank machine, because they'll give you one of them, won't you? That'll get you addicted. Plugging your cock into your digital wank machine and eating nothing but fucking cricket paste. When you're addicted to your digital wank machine and then the government says, whoa, you're not allowed to disagree with us. If you disagree with us, we'll turn your digital wank machine off. You'll go, no, not my digital wank machine. You'll do as you're told, won't you? And that is why they want you to be a fucking knobhead. So do the opposite. They want you to be fat. Don't be fat. Get some exercise. They want you to eat crickets. Eat fucking steak. They want you to be a pill-popping sexual deviant. Get married. Monogamy. Drink water. Go for a run. Save your money. Fuck them all. Do the opposite of what they tell you if you want to be happy. Right? Easy. Okay, I'm leaving. There's 49 minutes. You can have that for now, you twats. Like it and share it. I'll try and make some videos this week, seeing as I'm allowed to upload again for the next 2 hours. Or we'll see. We'll see. Knee owls on my fucking short and curlies. So we'll see. eBay. I don't know. I don't want one. I'm more than happy with mystery position twice a month. Thank you very much. Force of mind. That's all you need. Steely will. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll be back next week for a live on Monday. Other than that, I might get some videos out there. We'll see. All right. I've just got on. No. Go and watch it on Rumble. Oh, yeah. That reminds me. One thing. Where's my Rumble? Hopefully this worked on Rumble today, and I can actually send you a link. Is that it? Yeah, here it is. It worked today. Nice one. There's the Rumble link. Thanks for watching, everyone. Go and fucking like me on Rumble, because I might not be here very long. Neil's going to send a SWAT team round to smash my shitter up with a hammer. So, yeah, cheers. See you all soon. Take it easy.